Hi, all. While our focus today was really on those assessment results that we've seen for the region and the progress that we've seen as Houston, we do want to take a moment to really forecast some changes that are going to be happening to the state assessment system over the course of the next couple of years. Texas is actually transitioning to a new assessment system. Beginning in the 2027-2028 school year, the STAAR will be replaced with a new system that's currently called the Student Success Tool, although this could change over time. And ultimately, that was designed through a change at the legislature, that would be House Bill 8, to provide more timely information about student progress throughout the school year. So just to really hone in on this, we will have STAR for one more year next school year, and then the state will transition to a new assessment system. So there are some things to keep in mind about the changes that are happening, and I'm more than happy to answer questions about particulars here. But at a high level, looking just at the assessment model, currently with the STAR, we measure student performance at 1 point at the end of the school year through a longer end of year test. The new tool will measure student progress across 3 shorter assessments at the beginning, middle, and end of year. The beginning and middle of year assessments will actually be adaptive. And what that means is that when a student answers questions, the future questions that they receive changed based on how well they performed on previous questions. So a lot of our school districts actually use different types of assessments to monitor progress throughout the beginning, middle, and end of the school year right now. So this won't be a significant change in testing for most of our students in terms of the types of tests that they're taking. But what this means is there will now be an aligned state test that allows them to take those assessments and have them be comparable across the school year and to measure that progress. We'll talk about the implications of that on the next slide and also some of the options for flexibility for school districts with alternative assessments. The timeline for these changes, I'm sorry, can we go back one slide? The timeline for these changes is also significant here. So the results of STAR usually take several weeks after testing for them to be announced. We're doing this STAR webinar this in June right now because assessment results come out pretty late after students are tested in the spring. Under the new tool, results will be returned within 48 hours of each testing window. This is really quick. In terms of all of the states, this is really one of the fastest turnarounds that are available. The benefit here is the use for instruction. So STAR has always been an end of year snapshot. The new through year assessment system offers a way to monitor ongoing progress throughout the school year in an aligned assessment system and also serve the purpose of that end of year snapshot. And finally, overall testing time. A lot of our districts, like I mentioned before, use different types of supplemental benchmark assessments in order to get the progress monitoring that they need throughout the school year. Under the new system, those benchmark tests will be replaced with just this through-year system, again, with some flexibility provided to districts through potential alternative assessments if desired. I will name, since we have a little bit of time here, that there are some additional changes that are already being implemented to our assessment system that came through the same law. So TEA has implemented some new practices to reduce testing anxiety that are being incorporated to the instructions and operation of our tests. And now parents can access results much easier and quicker. The family portal now has one-click access to assessments. So hopefully that makes it much easier for families to be able to see how their students are doing. So looking at the implications of these changes and what it really means for students and families, educators, and our school districts, and how we can really be prepared for the changes that are coming after next year. Students and families should anticipate quicker, more accessible results. The multiple testing windows and aligned assessment system can create more opportunities for families and educators to work together to address learning needs before the end of the school year. I know I've heard from some families that under the current STAAR, they get the results back and it's already too late for them to really be able to have meaningful conversations with their students' current teacher to see how instruction could be adjusted. So this could be an opportunity for families to have more of an interaction with educators to ensure instruction meets the needs of students throughout the school year and not just at the very end. For educators, this means that those official results, like I said, will be returned within 48 hours of each testing window. And that means that that's actionable information that can be used to adjust instruction, target interventions for students, and monitor student growth in real time throughout the school year. Most of our districts, again, use some sort of a monitoring assessment system throughout the school year. And so the benefit here is that alignment with the final end of year test so that everything is cohesive. But I would encourage, again, families and educators to really look at preparing for this shift and how these results can be used on an ongoing basis to support students and to target where students need additional instructional support. And then finally, for school systems, most of these changes are impacting at the district level and how districts are planning for assessments and implementing. So districts will have flexibility to use TEA approved alternative assessments for the beginning and middle of year. So TEA issued a call for those assessments and are in the process of really looking at them and vetting them to make sure that there's enough comparability so that we can trust that the results are reportable and that we can make assumptions based on how students are doing across different school systems. But it does help districts retain an opportunity for flexibility and to customize local assessment strategies based on maybe some of the assessments that they've currently been using if they do end up on TEA's approved list. So our school system partners should prepare in advance for these changes by first monitoring updates from the Texas Education Agency on the assessment development process. We know that there's not a lot of information exactly about what this looks like yet out there, but continuing to check in on this as it gets developed will be helpful. Evaluating your current testing requirements, any benchmark assessments that you currently use, and plan for any desired approved alternative assessments. So TEA does have a timeline for that available online for when those approved alternative assessments will be announced, but it's never too early to start planning and understanding what assessments might need to be phased out based on the new requirements by law. Communicate these changes to staff, families, and students in advance of the 2027-2028 school year. This is a shift in the way that we've traditionally done assessments. And more importantly, this does mean that for just that year, we're going to likely have an interruption in the comparability of data and maybe even some changes that could impact what the results of those assessments look like. So I would encourage district partners to be very transparent about the changes with their school communities so that everybody is on board and understands the differences that they're going to see. And finally, plan for integrating these results with instruction, interventions, and evaluation systems. If you're using benchmark assessments for some of your internal evaluation systems, make sure that you're planning in advance for how those might need to be transitioned, or again, if you're going to use an approved alternative assessment in order to do that. So those are just some things to keep in mind to help make this transition a little bit smoother. But as more information becomes available, we'll be sure to share.